Big Loon talking about AK, he said like one of his main points of like not liking him, it's like, what has he done? Because he doesn't see YouTube as a real infrastructure. It's something that's like, radio, even 𝙬𝔦𝔐𝔃, they spoke about this on the,
Right.
But he was like, what has AK done? What influence does he have?
Let's start with that.
Yeah.
This has been a common theme lately because Akademiks has a position and a notoriety that people can't really pinpoint why it happened, especially people who aren't in tune or really truly consuming his content.
Yeah, it's like
really just elderly men with Timberland still.
Yeah.
It's like some people don't understand why Lil B is like Lil B.
Yeah, facts.
But if you know why Lil B is Lil B,
then
it's like,
get
nigga,
it.
you don't even like it's Lil B.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you have to know what you're talking about.
True.
You have to have that perspective.
You
and
have
Big
to.
Loon doesn't want to know
And that's
that
the biggest
perspective.
thing. It's not that he doesn't know it. He doesn't want to know it.
He doesn't want to know it.
One of his biggest L's, first of all, it's like the podcast is what, 2 hours?
Yeah.
He spent like an hour 15.
Talking, yeah, it was like an hour 15.
Maybe an hour 30, just talking about academics.
Yeah.
But then had the nerve to say that he doesn't want to have a conversation with him. It's like...
It's very disrespectful. And shout out to Andrew, because Andrew was playing with him a little bit.
Held his man
if he
down.
really wanted to flip him on his face,
He really could have went crazy.
And Trap Lil Ross too, but
There was a
There was a
moment.
moment in that. There's a bunch of moments for that too. But go ahead.
But there was a moment where he held his tongue, where like you could tell he was beginning to get frustrated. He was like, "What is a general, nigga?" Because I was about to keep saying that, and it's like you playing the.
He was like, and if I wanted to have a conversation with DJ, I would have told 𝙬𝔦𝔐𝔃, hit him up, bring him to an undisclosed location so I can holler at him. And Andrew was like, well, that sounds scary. The general wants to meet me in an undisclosed location.
I forgot about that.
Bro, Andrew is hilarious, but shout out to him because he was playing.
He played his position very well.
Perfect position because he
did.
wasn't like fanboying for AK, but he was making a reasonable point. Like, yo, you're tripping right now. You're being ignorant.
Somebody had to play devil's advocate in that room because every time Alex mentioned something, 𝙬𝔦𝔐𝔃 kind of shuts that shit back down.
Yeah.
Word?
Yeah, because it's like...
𝙬𝔦𝔏 disagrees with most things that Alex Media
That's
says.
a fact.
I'm gonna be real. I just don't want to hear from Alex Media. That's just... I just be like...
I don't mind Alex. He's cool.
Sometimes I feel like he does. Sometimes I feel like he does, but then sometimes I'm just like, we didn't need that.
But there's times on Flagrant 2 where he's absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
Because
I don't watch that enough.
There's not a Negro novice in this room right now. You get what I'm saying? When sometimes Andrew Wakash,
he's a different type of
Mark,
man too.
Yeah, but he still understands.
That's true.
He's playing both sides a little bit because there's times where it's like they need to rely on the what they call it.
Token black nigga?
Yeah, not token. Residential black nigga.
Yeah, there you go. Token just felt so easy to reach for.
I'm about to say Carlton.
Yeah, but token has like a little
isn't that
coon
connotation
stick
to it?
Yeah,
it does.
It's got a disrespectful tone to it.
It does.
The token
I
black
don't think
guy.
Alex a coon.
No, I don't think he's a coon
that.
either.
No,
I don't think he's a coon.
I like Alex. I like Alex personally.
You just seem like you like white girls.
He do.
And he's half Puerto Rican.
Look,
So there's a lot of different things going on.
I'm
he's
liking
half
him more
Puerto
than
Rican?
Loon.
Yeah.
The nail polish
Alex
makes sense
Media,
now.
nigga.
How you know that? He's Puerto Rican?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I watched this
Yeah,
shit.
I watched the show. He's half Puerto Rican. He says
The nail polish makes so much sense.
That's
now.
a Puerto Rican thing?
That's a Hispanic thing.
Yeah.
Them niggas are flexible.
That's a Bad Bunny thing.
I don't care what nobody says.
Yeah, he's made an impact.
Yeah. He's the Hispanic.
Shout out to Hispanics that listen,
niggas do
but
gymnastics.
based on what I've seen, y'all don't mind being flexible.
Let's keep it on Puerto Ricans. It might be a lot of Hispanics.
Yeah.
Let's keep it on Puerto Ricans.
I got a few Mexican homies that was thoroughly disagree.
Yeah, I was about to say, shout out to the ones that watch this.
Yeah, my Dominican
know.
brethren.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's not gonna be part of the topic. We'll move on. We'll talk about that later.
The
About Loon
Latinos
goofy
catch
ass.
strays.
They are. But
Look, Loon is crazy. I think
But put it this way, because he hated on. I'm not gonna say hate. He went in for an hour.
I think it's fair to say he hated.
It was hate.
It
was
was
some
crazy.
hate. It was a lot of hate there.
In that 60 minutes of discourse, there were valid points made eventually.
Okay.
Because when
So one of his points was, what value does academics bring?
Right. That's his biggest thing.
That
he kept
was his
saying,
biggest
'cause he
thing,
kept
and-
going back to that.
Yeah. So he was saying that he brings zero value.
once your opinion has you, it doesn't matter what you say after because it comes off as envious. You
It
get
did
what I'm
sound.
saying?
It definitely sounded envious. Yeah.
Like, what does he bring? It's like, nigga, like, we could argue more than you. Like, Andrew probably could have said that. Like,
so let's answer the question. What value
I
does
think the-
DJ Akademiks bring?
I think the value that academics bring is academics. He brings just hip hop commentary, and it's well, how am I trying to say this? It's the hip hop commentary that's not funded by a major corporation.
Yeah.
So for a long time, we only got major corporation hip hop commentary, right? In terms of like radio shows and things like that. And then there were still people breaking the wall. And, you know, Charlamagne was doing his thing on the radio too as well. But we got somebody who was like broadcasting the news. He was utilizing the internet more than and better than all of the traditional media.
Yeah.
So he gave it to us the fastest, concise, and opinion based too.
Yeah, but what do you think about what that did for the quality of the journalism once it went uncorporate? Because that was one of his major points that had validity, is that sometimes Ak is wrong. And we look at him like he's a news anchor, like he's breaking facts and information. He's really just doing online investigation.
Yeah.
But like,
Yeah.
So is the news. Like
Yeah,
all his
exactly.
points are so deflatable.
Yeah,
And he was talking about that, like DJ Akademiks, he doesn't take it serious. It's not like a court. It's not a business like Akademiks media company. It's none of that. And I understood that. Like him not taking it serious because
we've had those conversations about academic needs to grow and evolve into the next
right.
level.
Media
So
company
we've had that. We definitely had those
so
conversations.
I see it
But-
there, but
Yeah, so I can agree with the whole evolution, and they talked about that on the It's Up There podcast about Charlamagne was pretty much saying like, what is he going to do next? But like, Loon was moving from the position of, how did this nigga exist in this world ever?
Where
Like,
did he
you know what I'm
come
saying?
from?
Like, it was like,
But-
he couldn't even believe he was breathing on
But
this
the crazy
earth
thing
low-key,
about it to me
like-
too, and maybe it's just him posturing as like the guy already, you know what I'm saying? But he talks from that position as if, nigga, I've been doing this for years at a better position. Like he talks like he's the guy who can call
And
Ak out in that.
we
I don't
gotta
know, it's
understand-
just-
Well, and that's how he said he positioned himself as, I'm the one that holds these other media and podcasters accountable. That's what he
Right.
says that
Right.
like
Loon-
What
his
does
position
that?
is.
What does that mean?
Loon is
I don't know.
speaking from the perspective of like a used to be criminal. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yes.
a lot of his talking points is coming from that perspective. Even when he was talking about like, you know, Trap Lord Ross and, you know, the King
Yeah.
Von situation, he was like,
You don't got no evidence.
yeah, you don't got no evidence.
Right.
When
It
he
was
made
just-
a 3-hour documentary of nothing but
solid
fucking
evidence.
forensic science.
Right, yeah, like, yeah, the nigga did everything but get the DNA samples in his hands.
Bro,
You know what I'm saying?
time swabs.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, man, look, Loon's, I watched 2-3 pieces of content. He doesn't seem that smart.
Yeah,
I'm going to just say it. I don't want to put that on wax, but he doesn't seem...
It's just too
When-
late. You did.
but not on that level. Like,
I know what you mean. You
'Cause
don't want to call him out of his name. Like you never want to call somebody.
but when you don't...
He's a general. He can get your shot cold.
I was about to say, but when you can't understand perspective and when you can't shift your perspective, you're
Yeah.
not smart to me.
Yeah, I
Because you
get what
can't
you-
even, like, you're not malleable. You're
Yeah.
not even
that,
like...
no, that's a whole fact. And that was the whole opinion had you, and it's just like he speaks like he's here to ethically enforce content.
He really-
other podcasters.
Yo.
But the problem is he hasn't reached his peak either. And
Right,
he's at
right.
the beginning of
He's-
his. I think he's
The pro-
early.
He's at his rise right now. He's at the base of his rise.
The niggas...
base.
But the problem is he isn't Jesus. Like you can't
Yeah.
be the
Yeah.
moral exemplar of something and put yourself on that plateau.
but he's trying to bring street ethics and morals to the podcast game.
He's the stepfather trying to bring in his little shit. You know what I mean? Like he's
Right.
like who says like, nigga, I'm the Godfather. Like that's not
Yeah.
something that the Godfather has to say. Like
True,
if
true,
you're the
true.
general, why you have to say you're the general?
That's
like
true.
nigga, it should be unspoken.
See, it was almost, see, what Big Loon doesn't understand is that just because you might have had respect in the streets, everybody does not respect the streets. Let's just throw that out there. So like, you could have been Al Pacino, you could have been the biggest drug, you could have been Big Meech, you know what I'm saying? There's a large group of people who don't give a fuck.
In his words, I'm sorry. In his
Yeah, go ahead.
words, rappers come to me to get money.
And,
They
that-
be
and
broke.
guess what? Nobody gives a fuck. There's a lot of people, like, I'm one of the people. I don't give a fuck. Like,
Yeah.
I genuinely don't care. Like, if I wasn't a podcaster that was interested in how podcasters move and how the business is formed around it, I wouldn't have listened to all your pieces. I wouldn't have binge watched your content over the last 2 to 3 days. I would have saw your one appearance, been one of the people talking shit about you in Reddit and never visited your equipment again. Like,
Right.
never visited your things again. The reason I didn't is because I'm a podcaster, coming from a different perspective, and
You're watching him from the perspective of like, oh, he hustling. Like, I like his game.
Yeah, and now
I like his game.
And now but then after your academics goddamn
Rant.
fixation, you know what I'm saying?
Fixation, yeah, that's a better term.
And we'll use the word obsession because
Obsession.
That's what he
we'll
was
use the
using.
word obsession.
Yes.
Yeah.
Smart.
So your academics obsession had me like, now I'm obsessed with you, nigga.
me ask you a
Like,
question,
you know what
AJ.
I'm saying?
I'm about
Like,
to say.
I need to figure out, how does a nigga become like this? Like,
Yeah.
so and this is the thing, we'll get to the obsession thing later. I just hate that you even try to like clown obsession on Trap Lord Ross. Nigga,
trying to-
Thank you.
You were obsessed with fucking podcasting.
I was gonna
cut
ask
it the
you
fuck
that.
out. Like, I'm upset. Everybody successful is we're all obsessed. We're all crazy. We're all deranged, bro. All of
Yeah.
us, we're not normal, which is why these people rise to the top. 𝙬𝔦𝔐𝔓𝔦𝔑 is obsessed. Schultz is obsessed. You are obsessed. You're on the Brain Idiot
But he
couch.
We're just a bunch of successful sickos.
But-
That's it.
That's what this is.
But he can't even step outside his own mind
to even notice that objectively,
Yeah.
everybody successful is sick. You know what I'm saying?
And that's
Like,
what the problem is that he can't be objective about this issue because of his relationships with Little Baby.
And yo, you
and
want to know
it's
what's
just
crazy?
the streets.
Because-
like outside a little baby.
Yeah, the vague streets.
yeah.
The boulevards, the avenues.
Because when he was talking to
I
Trap
saw a
Lord
spooky
Ross,
sidewalk the other day. He might be the general of that motherfucker.
yeah, ooh. Like, call Luigi, nigga. Get him. But when he was talking about the Rico with Trap Lord Ross, I was like, yo, him being friends with Lil Baby and Young Thug situation might be causing him a little bit of bias
little
because
bit
he was
more
talking
for you?
about, nigga, these are just words. This is not real life. These are words put onto pen and paper to trick y'all, young
Yeah.
white boys. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so much bias in him.
And it was so many contradictions in his Brilliant Idiots appearance and all of his other appearances. But just to kind of wrap up his Brilliant Idiots appearance, you focusing in on academics looks fucking terrible. And it's like, if I was objective and I never watched the Brilliant Idiots maybe I was a new fan of the Brilliant Idiots and this is my 5th episode watching it because I just found them.
Yeah.
And I saw your appearance, I would never want to indulge in your content because that audience, the Brilliant Idiots audience, I think you can kind of I won't say kind of classify. You can kind of tell what IQ floats around each audience, right?
True.
Those
You know what I'm
are
saying?
real
True.
life savants.
Yes.
Their
Oh,
audience
yeah.
are savants.
So a Brilliant Idiot listener, I know I can have a full conversation
Yep.
with levels to it. You know
Yep.
what I'm saying?
Layered.
Layered conversation. There's
Yeah.
certain podcasts it's all led off of who's the host.
yeah.
You know what
He's
I'm saying?
the daddy's
And who
son.
who gravitates toward
Who
that?
gravitates to it. So if you like this person, okay, I know how your mind works, and I know, and it's like you did not reach their level because you were so stuck and you couldn't step outside of your opinion.
Yeah.
You couldn't see anything objectively, and that's something that's been consistent across all of your content. Is that you're supposed to be a general that enforces content and things of that nature, but you can't step away objectively and actually look at the landscape, which means if you're also telling me that I'm supposed to come to you to learn how businesses are run, the podcasters are getting money and things of that nature, I'm not going to you because you're not objective enough. You're not objective. So you can't even respectfully see, how can I trust your business decision if you can't even see how academics is existing?
He calls himself the general. Nigga, the general never touches the battlefield. They're placing the pawns and the pieces in position. He doesn't even know like the definition of what a general is.
Right. Yeah.
All we're saying is that you were boring. That's all it is. It's like you can give information, you can do all that, you can have opinions about people, you can hate niggas, but you got to do it in an entertaining fashion.
Yeah.
The Brilliant Idiots podcast, I believe, is in the comedy section, right?
Yeah,
For
facts.
sure.
It
No,
is
for
there
sure.
for a reason.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
You either are supposed to be so serious that they can bounce off you and just give jokes and make their own battle out of it,
Yeah.
or you relay the information in a comedic way.
It shouldn't feel as personal as it did. Is that what you're saying?
This felt like Oprah. Like, he should have taken this to Oprah.
Okay.
to air
Okay.
out his grievances.
that-
or
that
maybe
old
a
black
Gayle
woman?
King, because she
Yeah.
can only give a fuck about
Bro, like
this.
30 minutes in, I was like, this nigga hates academics.
Right,
Like,
right,
that's all
right,
that's
right,
all
right.
I could think of.
Right.
I was like,
It's so personal, and I don't know.
like if academics was this type of nigga, which I don't think academics is, I would be like, did academics fuck his bitch or something? Like,
It's the-
if Ac was that type of nigga, but
it's
Ac ain't that type of
it's
nigga.
too.
You know what I'm saying?
It's like they're both the extreme of like the spectrum.
Yeah,
the
they
super
are.
street nigga, and like
The super internet nigga.
you
chat
know,
nigga.
yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But he could be pouring his messaging and still have good business acumen behind it.
Yeah.
What
but
you-
that
yeah,
takes
yeah,
too much
yeah.
intelligence.
It does. It takes.
Nah, he could have good business acumen and still be poor, like still like have an opinion, like a really bad opinion. Like,
Yeah,
you know
those
what I'm
things
saying?
are,
Like, you
those
could
things
still,
are
they're
mutually
not mutually
exclusive.
No, they're not.
He could know his business behind it and
That's
have
true.
something to teach you and like really have some shit behind it to teach you.
But I
That's
also like nigga. I'm teaching the young bucks game. No, you're not. I don't like when niggas start professing.
I hate that
'cause
shit.
Like,
oh my god, I hate
You
it.
let the young bucks say that about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to call you an OG before you get that.
that's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Or if you're gonna say something, be a little more vague about it. Like
Hey, your street resume does not translate over to this internet. It does
Right.
not.
Because like Taxstone, like Taxstone said, a lot of OGs are just niggas that got old.
Yeah, yeah.
And now they have authority over you.
Just off the
Allegedly.
age,
Yeah.
but nothing about their intelligence, business mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, it's the fact that they survived.
Nigga, you a senior member.
They survived. Like because so many people that were gang affiliated and things that just died before 25. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just the fact that you made it to 35, you are an OG because most of people died.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean that you're the general, because the general is normally the smartest person because he's moving everything. You
Nigga,
know what I'm
he's
saying?
the general.
He's the general for
He's
a
not
reason.
on the battlefield.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying?
He's making all the plays to keep everybody safe or to destroy quickly.
And
you know
then
what
to
I'm
call
saying?
yourself a general, like nigga, that's like nigga, you Sun Tzu. Like
But
there
he-
should be no mistakes.
He's transferring his street resume over to the podcast. experience.
Yeah.
That's where his biggest issue is. He's,
what I'm saying, yep.
He's and now unless
So you need a master's, not a bachelor. nigga.
unless you only want street niggas getting not like tuning into your
that's who his
podcast.
demographic
If that's
is.
your demographic is, Charlamagne should have never put you on Brilliant Idiot. Charlamagne should have sent you over $1 million worth of game. You know what I'm saying?
That would have been a better look.
That would have made more sense. You know what I'm saying? Because these niggas over here, that Brilliant Idiots market, they're not fucking with you.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
send
saying?
them the Glasses Malone podcast.
Send them to Glasses Malone. Send them to $1 million worth of games. Send them,
Noriega maybe.
send them to Nori maybe.
But
yeah.
they're not on Black Effect no more.
Nori's not.
Yeah, no, it's not no more.
But they got the homie thing. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
So
So he can still do that.
yeah,
like,
he would
low-key.
still send them over there just off,
It's still
just
close.
Off the love.
It's
No.
close, off
GP.
the love,
Yeah.
and because I would send you there because, but at the same time, I don't think you only want street niggas, because I heard you talk to Charlamagne about how the market is bigger than hip hop.
Yeah, how you want to separate,
So
And-
if
yeah.
that's the case,
increase your market share is what he said.
we're going hard. I'm gonna go hard on you on this episode, but
He talks a lot of like
this is what you say that you do. So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do the same thing that you say that you do. You know what I'm saying? And that's all. But you might come back then on the next round and do way better, which I'm leaving all the room open for in the world. You come back to Brilliant Idiots in a year and
and
you're
it'd be a
joking.
different nigga and shit.
he
Yeah,
could come
you'll be
back
a different.
He could come back in 2 weeks. All he needs is just a little bit of perspective and open mindedness.
And-
You get what I'm saying?
yeah.
And even if you are stubborn, you got to be funny so
Yeah.
you know how to ride that stubbornness. You get what I'm saying? Like,
At this point, the only thing that he could do to save face is to get in front of Academics.
yeah,
Academics will
literally.
never
It's the only
respond.
way.
Academics is not responding to you.
You
Yeah.
don't think that's gonna happen? Because I was surprised it hasn't happened yet. What-
Academics,
it
you think
won't
he
happen.
looks down?
Is he busy doing something else?
You think he looks down
He
the
do
loon?
got that. He do got that bitch in his house still. So
Yeah, he's probably going through
could
an
be
immense
busy,
amount of
but
stress.
I think Academics. Can you go to his YouTube? I think Academics have been focused on the YNW Melly trial.
Yeah, I think so.
On his
okay.
journalism.
He has.
But when Ack got time, Ack makes time for the bullshit too. Like, but I just don't think Ack is gonna respond to you. And honestly, if I was Academics, I wouldn't respond to you either, because you doing more damage to yourself.
Yeah.
He did more damage. He did more self-inflicted damage than Ack will do. Ack won't do nothing but boost his numbers, and I
Right.
wouldn't want to do that
If I was
you,
Ack.
if you already made yourself look crazy talking crazy about me.
Yeah.
Then we're
You-
going to
you-
talk about him again next week. There's
you-
more gas on the fire.
You dug your own grave. So it's like, if Ack is smart, which I think he's not responding for a reason.
And it goes to show you like the people he's hanging around, and I'm talking about Loon.
Yeah.
Like all his friends probably think the same thing about Ak.
You know, all the
so it's like
sergeants.
because the way he just brings them up so like nonchalantly, like this nigga Ak a bitch, right?
That's a
like,
fact. Yeah,
It's like whoa,
he was talking about act like we were all gonna be on the same
Bro,
page as
like,
you, bro.
it's
He
Like,
treated academics like an average guy. He was like,
Yeah.
I can get any nigga off the street and
that
put him
was
in that
fucking
Twitch
disrespectful. That was crazy. That was when I heard that, I was like, you really don't understand it. And I screen recorded a moment
man.
when I said, oh, he doesn't know what's going on out here in these streets. Like
Was it with the
You
Trap
can't
Ross?
sub out no all-star.
it's up there podcast with 𝙬𝔦𝔐𝔓𝔦𝔑. He said, this is still in the academic section, but we'll listen to the soundbite later. He said, I don't understand academics because he understands the internet in some weird way. In some
And I
weird
don't,
way.
I don't like. He has.
Nigga, what?
He's a
Nigga.
weird little genius. He just can't give him no love.
That sounds like he's just mad that he good.
Bro,
Nigga, what the fuck? Nigga, we are doing podcasting. Podcasting is the internet, nigga. You should be looking at, if you're pissed that he exists, you should be trying to figure out what he's doing to match the numbers, because your numbers are not there.
It sounds like he's trying, but he genuinely just doesn't
Well,
understand.
he might have the audio numbers.
He might have the audio numbers.
He might
true.
have the audio listens, which that's what podcasting is based in
Yeah.
initially.
We're gonna dive back into his page because his shit is a mess.
What
Can
do
we
you think
talk
the-
about his? What?
I was gonna say, what do you think the value he's trying to say that he brings that other niggas don't bring is?
I think. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.